Hey there, YouTube. How's it going? I guess I don't know. You know, I kind of think of it as like that line from The Godfather. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. I don't know what to say. Um, I don't have chocolate smeared on my face. All right, I haven't shaved in a few days, so don't leave any comments like that. But and just to put it out there, I might not answer a lot of comments on this video, and I might not answer a lot of things in related to YouTube. Just because I'm lazy and I don't really feel like doing it, and I don't want to involve myself with it and stuff. I will read all your comments, and I will, if you say something nice, I will definitely be appreciative for it. But I may not respond to any comments on this or a lot of stuff on YouTube. So I'm just putting it out there too. But also, I've posted some videos on fringe elements. I will link my fringe elements page again. If you have not, please join up. The site has gotten a lot of users as of late. There's a lot of members there now. There's a lot of new content been uploaded there. Personally, myself, I have not made anything new. But if you wanted to view some of my older videos, or not my older ones, but some of my other videos that are no longer available on YouTube, you can see them on Fringe Elements now. And they're linked from Blip TV, and I would do that too. If you wish to post on Fringe Elements, I would embed them from Blip TV and put them on Fringe Elements because you can make some money off of that. And this video was not intended to be a response to "Oh my God, it's Chris," but I guess it will be because this seems to be the topic of the day or whatever it is that drugs. Yeah, I don't know why, but I don't know why drugs is a recent thing on the internets, but that's what it is, I guess. And for me, I'm writing my English semester paper on legalization of all drugs, and we just had a cause and effect essay, and I just did a short three-page one or whatever it is on legalization. I called it the perils of prohibition. But basically what I wanted to do is just like a video entailing reading you the essay. Hopefully I can read it in a short amount of time and get to it. But basically I'm not going to go into anything drug related with me. That's for a different time and a different video, and I don't intend to do it in this video. But basically I wanted to just point out one thing, that these are my what do you call it, lower tabs from my surgery. And do you know, I just want to point out there that, do you know how easy it would be for me to sell these to someone I know, one of my friends or whatever it is? I could make like 35 bucks off of this for the ones that are left in there. And I'm just putting it out there that that's how easy it is these days. No matter how much you have out there, this could be, you know, whatever it is. It's not very hard whatsoever to do anything of the sort. And I don't know what I'm going to do with them, and we'll see. Maybe I'm not a moral man. Who knows? Alright. I suppose I'll just read this to you. It's kind of lame if you don't like listening, but I'm for legalization of all drugs, obviously. But I'll explain in the essay. So, maybe I'm rambling too much. I'll just start reading. When an individual thinks of the word prohibition, the images one conjures up are those of 1920s America, specifically Chicago. The images of Al Capone and John Dillinger, along with other gangsters and mafia bosses, along with the images of speakeasies, rum runners, bootleggers, and moonshiners also filter into one's head. Pictures of gang wars in the streets in a time of violence also come to mind. However, when one speaks of prohibition today, it is in reference to the prohibition of drugs, specifically narcotics. This includes opiates, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamine, and methamphetamines, among other substances. There are a myriad of problems due to the prohibition of drugs, and these far outweigh the possible issues that could possibly emerge if all drugs were legalized. The prohibition of drugs has not alleviated any crisis, only created one and then deepened it. The prohibition of substances by the state stretches far back into history, but for this essay we will focus on prohibition in America. The first real prohibitions of substances came in the 1850s with alcohol in some individual states and counties, and remained fairly limited in scope until January 1920, when the 18th Amendment to the Constitution was implemented and all sales and consumption of liquors, beers, and other spirits became illegal. Soon after legislation passed based off of racism and intolerance prohibited cannabis and other substances. This noble experiment, I stapled it, sorry, quickly morphed into something akin to Paradise Lost. Although the use of alcohol fell at the beginning of Prohibition, subsequently increased. Alcohol became more dangerous to consume, crime increased and became organized, the court and prison systems were stretched to the breaking point, and corruption of public officials was rampant. But that, like anything new, was there. No tangible gains were made in increasing absenteeism, or any of the set out goals. Prohibition removed a significant source of tax revenue. I got to put it in there. And greatly increased government spending. It led many drinkers to switch to opium, marijuana, cocaine, and other substances that they would have been unlikely to encounter in the absence of prohibition. Hang on a sec. The perils of prohibition, are the same today. Prohibition is implemented through groups who lobby the state for barriers and markets. Most groups believe that they have the correct objective moral standard but often use the power of the state to legislate morality to the rest of the populace. If the sole legitimacy of the state, or any state for that matter, is to quote-unquote protect life, liberty, and property, then prohibition is a total perversion of this. But I'm not getting into the whole stateless thing in this essay. I will possibly in the other one. If a state is there to protect one's life, prohibition creates the black market for these substances and subsequently the gangs and criminals that traffic in them. What prohibition does is it drives a whole market underground, and when that occurs, people cannot resolve their disputes or anything for that matter in a legitimate manner, but are forced to use dangerous means such as guns, intimidation, and violence. I'm not saying guns are dangerous. The people who use them are, not guns. And I've explained that before, so don't go with that shit, random people. The state's prohibition of substances violates the life principle, in that it creates violent gangs and turbulence that follows, thus putting the lives in danger and all too often needlessly ending some. Prohibition also violates liberty and property. If one is truly liberated, one should have the right to put any substance one wishes into one's body. Also, if one does, second page, own one's own body, an external arbitrary entity coming in and telling an individual this is right or wrong is simply absurd. Making drugs illegal also creates an atmosphere of mystery to their use, and all too often intrigues younger and younger individuals to use drugs. And, different video. If all drugs were legal and commonplace, this problem would also be resolved. Between draconian laws and the enforcing power of the state, this has all led to a nightmare scenario in America. And I should have put in the West altogether, or all around the world. The quote-unquote war on drugs costs over $19 billion yearly to maintain in America. For example, on average it costs almost $500,000, $450,000 specifically, to put an illegal drug dealer or user in prison. While, on average, it costs only about $35,000 to $45,000 to put a person through rehabilitation and community substance abuse programs. Since the insidious inception of the state's prohibition of drugs, all society has done is watch the cost in lives, money, and time get ever higher. America is now coming to a point where 1 out of 10 Americans is in prison. America has a prison population of over 3 million, and in total, 7 million are either in prison, on parole, or on probation, the largest population on Earth. Also, simply locking a person up because they have made their own choice does not correct the problem. A vast majority of the time an individual spends locked up is used to learn the ways of the street and how to become a more professional criminal, not to become reformed, whatever that means. The only logical solution to this problem is community-based rehabilitation programs and the support of society and loved ones. The state's prohibition of substances is not deemed socially acceptable or moral by those in power or in the majority stretches back a considerable time. In overall cases, the prohibition of these substances has failed miserably and have only caused more suffering, waste, and social disorder and chaos. There are many perspectives to the quote-unquote war on drugs, and all of them, including social, religious, personal, economic reasons, point to the utter failure of the policy of prohibition. The effects of prohibition in all these perspectives have not ameliorated anything and have only served to create a vortex of waste, corruption, and social injustice. And that was under 10 minutes on my rambling. So yeah, there's that. Legalize all drugs. Basically, if you're not even looking at it just from an economic standpoint, just from if you're thinking that all people who use drugs are criminals, you're a fucking intolerant prick. I'm sorry. And I really don't care. I'm here to undermine things now, so maybe this is an unpopular sentiment, but I don't give a shit. So, there you go. Fringe Elements, down there. I suppose I'll talk to you all soon. You know, they pull me back in. Alright, take it easy, folks, alright? Peace.